Hey there, YouTube fans. How are you all? It's good to see you. Thank you for clicking on my channel, and I appreciate that very much because I know your time is so very valuable. I'm Darlene, and I'm going to do your reading today. It's already got cards popping out. Okay. I'll be doing your reading shortly. Let me get my business out of the way. Thank you again. I really know we're all so busy, so I value your time, and you know, the fact that you clicked on my video is very appreciated. And if you like this kind of content, you know the drill. We readers always ask you to hit that like button and subscribe. I am just getting started here on YouTube, so it means a lot to my channel growth. But more importantly, it means that the messages will more likely get to the people that they're meant for. And if you've watched my videos before, these are very narrow messages. So thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm just shuffling these cards, and if you haven't been here before, I don't really look at the cards until I'm done. I'm looking out the window at the playground, and I have somebody coming through already, and then after I deliver their messages, then I will look at the cards and see what those have to say. Don't know if these cards will be messages for the people I'm bringing through, just telling more of their story, or for the person that the message is meant for. Okay, all that's out of the way, and they're saying the deck is ready. Now, I know y'all can't see the cards when you see my face. Sorry, it's a choice. My best friend, who she's probably going to watch this video, kept encouraging me just to show me your face, show your face. And I think what she was saying real nicely was, your face is, even though it's old, is better than your gnarly hands. Love you, sweetheart, if you're watching this. And she's right. I think she's right. My poor little old gnarly hands. Oh, goodness. Gotta laugh. All right, let me get these cards out. And is that it? Okay, great. But I will show them to you. My point is, I know you can't see the cards, but I will show them to you. Here they are, laid out. And how about that? And then I will put them up in front of the camera. Okay, enough chit chat. Let's get on with that. I have a couple coming through today. I'm trying to get a gauge of their age when they passed, and they were not particularly old. Mid-40s, 50s-ish, something like that maybe. But they passed together, and they're telling me they passed together in a car accident. And they're not, one second here, just, okay, thank you. It may have involved some icy and hazardous road conditions, and that could have been what happened. They had an accident because of ice on the roads. But it was an accident, and they both died subsequently. I don't think there was another car involved. I think this was just them and their vehicle. Y'all know when I look over here, it's because they kind of, the way I channel, they always stand to my left side. So if I'm looking like this, like somebody's standing there, it's because they kind of are for me. That's where they gather, and really nothing happens over here. It's just always on my left. So I know that's weird, but whatever. Maybe y'all like to know those kind of little details. I don't know. They're coming through to talk about their children, but this is specifically a message for their son. So when they passed, they're showing me 3 children. There was an age gap between their oldest, which is a son, and then the other 2. The oldest, the son, he was, I'm going to say late teens, but of age. And when I say of age, I mean 18 or older, not necessarily 21. But anyway, and the reason I bring that up, or they're bringing it up, is because when they passed, he stepped up as an adult to take care of his siblings. And so that's what they're coming in to talk about today. They're saying, you know, he could have, and I think they have extended family, and there may have been discussions about having the younger two go to live with the extended family. But in the end, he couldn't bear the thought of, I'm speaking about the son, couldn't bear the thought of his two siblings, kind of breaking up the family, what was left of it, without their parents. And so he stepped up, and it was just nothing short of heroic in the parents' mind, well, in mine too, for that matter, that because he was very young. I mean, in fact, I think they're telling me, okay, slow down, please. Sometimes they give me TMI too much, too quickly, and I can't capture it all. They're saying that at the time of their passing, that this young man had a girlfriend, and it was early stages, but it was, a nice young romance. And when the parents died, essentially you parted, you broke up, because, and I don't know if you knew this or you might have assumed it, you probably guessed it, that you became a parent overnight, and this young woman was just not ready for that. She just thought, she was still very young, had her whole life ahead of her, and was not ready to step into that kind of responsibility. And so you may have known that, you may not have, but that's what they're showing me. So your parents are saying how very, very proud they are of you, they're not surprised. They said you always acted in an adult way. You were always very responsible. You were always caring for your siblings. Okay, thank you. There's a sweet little sidebar to this I'm going to share in a second. And so they're not saying they're surprised that you did this, but rather it was just an amazing and awesome thing that you did, and a huge responsibility that you took on to do this. I mean, that would be a lot at anyone's age, but especially since you were young. The little sidebar they were sharing with me is they wanted to tell you, and I don't think that you know this, but when I don't get the feeling that your parents had you early in their marriage, in their relationship. And I don't know if, let me just tell you what they're saying. They hit a rough patch in the early, maybe 3 to 5 year stretch of their marriage. And I don't think they ever officially separated. They could have, but it doesn't really feel like, if they did, they were emotionally and romantically still connected, but they just hit a rough patch. There could have been a temptation. I don't think they strayed from the marriage, but there could have been some other factor that was involved in that. But they got through it, regardless of what all that was. The point is, they got through it. And they came back together stronger than they ever were. And they're saying you were the result, you were the love child that came from that. That when they came back together, they made love and they made you. And you were the love child. And so, I mean, they're just standing here so sweet. They clearly loved each other. And they're just holding hands together on the other side, smiling and so happy. I feel like you had a very happy family life. This was not dysfunctional. Everybody loved each other. Everybody got along. It was a happy family, until this happened, which I think gave you the strength and the motivation to want to continue keeping your family together. Let me see. Is anything else? Take a breath. They're doing this, they're looking up at each other and holding hands and kind of winking, like, should we tell them what's coming? Should we tell them what's coming? They're sending you something good. I don't know. That may turn up in the cards here. I don't know. But I'm going to turn the cards over now, and let's see who and what this meant, who this is for. I mean, what this is about, who this is about, rather, I should say. Let me see what the cards have to say here. And bear with me. I might get quiet for a minute while I tune into this. Okay, let's see here. Well, before I do this, it's hard being in my head sometimes. I get too many things going on in there. There's something they wanted me to say earlier, and like I said, it goes so fast sometimes it's hard to capture it all. They see you, our loved ones. Just because we can't see them doesn't mean they can't see us, and they do see us. The main reason they come through in these kind of readings is so they can comfort you in the knowledge that they are still around you, that they still see what goes on in your life, and they obviously still care about you, but they bring through contemporary messages. In other words, by contemporary messages, I mean things that are going on in your life now as a verification of what happens, that they are still here. They're just saying, hey, we see what's going on. Sometimes those messages are very specific. I wish they all were that specific. I'd like to be that specific, but they're not sometimes. In this case, there is not, but they're telling me that they've seen your struggle. I think there was enough money in this situation, insurance money, to take care of you, so that thankfully was not a concern. Well, it was a big step for you to start to manage all of that yourself alone, but you did it. But they're saying the biggest was that you were so young, and yet here you were suddenly having to be an adult and raise these children. And I've already said that, but they're showing me a scene where you are alone in your room. The other kids are doing whatever. I think they're probably already in bed or whatever, and you're exhausted, even at your young age, because believe me, you have a lot more energy when you're younger than when you're older to raise kids. But still, I think you've had moments, and I don't think you've shared them with anyone else, but you've had moments where you felt like your youth was taken away, and that you've asked the question that anybody would, why me? Why did this happen? But you never got stuck there. You always managed to get yourself out of that. You always managed to take the high road and do the thing that you know is for the highest good for your siblings. But they've seen your struggle. They've seen you sitting in your room on the side of your bed crying because you don't have a life, is kind of how you were feeling when this was happening, and this is what they're bringing through to me. You don't have a life when you're raising. I mean, your life, rather, let me restate that. Your life is your family, your kids, your siblings in this case. And everything you do is centering around getting them to school and getting them fed and getting, all those things that is a whole lot when you're young and alone. And they're seeing that you've struggled, and they know that you struggle. But what they're acknowledging you for, and the reason they brought this up, is they also want to say to you, but we know you never resented it. Sure, you questioned it, but you never resented it. You always felt like it was just the right thing to do. There was never a question in your mind about that being the right thing to do. You should step up and take care of your siblings. And so they just want to acknowledge that, and they see your struggle. They know what you've been through. They watch. They look in on you and the other two children. Just one second. Let's see. I think it seems to me, I'm not certain, but it feels like you've got a younger brother and then a sister, because somebody's just started baseball or softball. They're saying, and I think it's the middle child has just started. Yeah, one of those, baseball, softball. And they're showing me the youngest one is still, she's getting older, and she's at that age where she's almost ready to give up her baby dolls and stuff, but she still sleeps with these little, I'm not certain what the proper title, I'm calling them plushies. They're really soft and squishy, fuzzy little character animal things. I don't know what they're actually called. My grandchildren have some, and I've seen them, but I'm not sure that's actually what they're called. But they're kind of like a pillow, but they're an animal, but they're soft and squishy. And anyway, they're showing me that, and she has a favorite one that she loves. And they're talking about a story where you couldn't find it recently. She couldn't find it. She thought it was lost or whatever. Something happened to it recently, and you couldn't find it. And there was a meltdown, not a big one, but kind of a minor meltdown. And you were almost panicking, like, what were you going to do? Oh my God, I'm going to have to go to the store and buy another one. Can I find another one? You know, that moment. And as parents, we've all had that moment, or two, or depending on how many kids you have. But in the end, you found it, and everything was right. But they're just bringing that up to verify with you that they do see what's going on, and that you can relate to that story, hopefully, as being something current, to validate that they are still with you and validate that they're still watching what's going on. Okay, now back to the cards. They're yes. You've had to have a lot of patience, obviously. Any parent does, but come on, it's just a huge responsibility at your age to be taking care of siblings. And they see that but they're acknowledging that you've done that. Oh, I told you I was going to show you that. But they're acknowledging that you have had extreme amount of patience. That, in fact, they're laughing and they're saying, in fact, he's had more patience than we would have had as parents, or we did as parents. You've learned an awful lot. And the thing that you've learned the most about, and by the way, y'all, if you haven't been here before, I don't always read the traditional meanings of the cards because of the kind of reading this is, a little bit different context. But generally speaking, they're often the same. So what you've learned, here, let's get this up. What you've learned a lot about is how to communicate. To communicate as an adult, not as a, young person that you are. A lot about communication, and also about controlling your temper. And controlling your inner, we all have that dark side. We've got that, the good angel and the dark angel that sits on our shoulders. And so they're kind of making a joke, but it's not a joke, but it is a joke about that with you. Because if you look at, hang on, let me pick up one more. Let me do this. If you look at these cards, let me arrange them. You've got, well, some reason I can't pick them up today. Hang on. Okay. You've got the angel, you've got communication and learning in between the devil. And so you've got an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other, so to speak. And they're again acknowledging your struggle, but Spirit, not just your parents, is also acknowledging what a great job you've done with that. And they're saying you have, in fact, become quite fertile, quite abundant at learning how to be a parent. That they're saying, frankly, you were a natural born parent. Some people aren't. Some people there's always things to learn as a parent. If you're smart, you're always open to learning as a parent. But some people are just more natural at it than others. And they're acknowledging you for that. You've learned about giving and taking, and or giving equally, and that, now this may be just me speaking, but I don't think so. I think you parents out there can comment and let me know. You, as much as you want as a parent to give equally to your kids, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. Sometimes it's Judy's turn to get something, and sometimes it's Tommy's turn to get something. And they don't necessarily agree with that assessment from you as a parent. But you're learning how to keep that balance. You're learning also learning how to keep balance in life in general with taking all this awesome responsibility on. You've done a lot of reflection, you've done a lot of assessment, you've gotten a new perspective about all of this and your life. And I feel that this just popped in too. Spirit is saying, you've realized, you've had an adult epiphany about, you realize how young you are, and that, yeah, this is a lot to be young and be dealing with this. But the other side is that, but you still have a whole lot of living. You've got a whole life ahead of you and plenty of time to have your own family and your own relationship. And you've kind of really come to terms with that. You've come to a place of acceptance with that. And so if you had your moments of questioning this and resenting that your youth was taken away, I think you've come to a good place of acceptance with that. 7 of Wands can be standing your ground. To me, what I get when I look at this card, and I don't have my glasses on, I may have to put those on. If you can see, in fact, I will. Hang on one second. Let me, so I can point to the right spot here. This, right in the middle, can you see that? Right here is this bright light shining, coming from her center, right? Coming from her, well, that's, anyway, I won't go into all that detail. It's a sidebar conversation. But I feel like they're saying you kind of had to find your legs, your sea legs, as it were, for life, dealing with all of this. You kind of had to, you had to find that balance, and it wasn't easy, but you really, really have. And they're just applauding you that you stood your ground about taking care of these kids. They're bringing that up again, that you could have made other choices. You could have put them up for adoption. You could have, like I said, handed them over to a more distant family relative, because I don't think you had real close relatives that could have stepped in, but there was family. And you've just stood your ground, and it's just the same message really repeating itself, but because you need to hear it, or they want you to hear, they want you to know that they're acknowledging you for doing this and for being such a grown-up at such a young age. I mean, that's just a really, and I just, again, I can't stop looking at how much, and I started to say, I'm not usually, but no, I'm not sure I've ever been drawn on this particular card. Look how peaceful she is, just sitting there. Yeah, I'm standing my ground, but I'm doing it quietly. I'm doing it with strength, my inner strength, and I'm doing it quietly. My eyes are closed. I'm finding the peace. However I get to that place, however you get to that place. And I think for you, a part of that is that you're doing the right thing. You really stepped up and you did the right thing for your siblings. And by the way, they're also telling me, and that will be repaid. You will have a very tight family going forward with them, and they will be there for you. And Spirit is telling me that loudly. They will be there for you. When you need them later in life, they will absolutely be there for you. That is something, and you may be too young to have thought about this. That is something that a lot of people don't have. It's not an option, or they're not close with their family, or they don't have children, or if they do have children, their children are moved away and leaving their lives and they're not in touch with them. It's a big deal, and I am so blessed. Both of my sons, all of my family live here where I live in my city, and it is a huge comfort for me as I'm getting older to know that they're all here and we're together, and they've told me I have no question that my family is going to be there to take care of me when I need that. And you just don't know what a comfort that is until you get to that place in life. So it's a beautiful thing. And so Spirit just wants you to know that you have loved these children like they were your own, and they will be there for you when they're adults and you are older. And not that there's that much age difference between you, but still no matter what happens in life, they're going to be there for you, and they're going to have your back, and that's a huge, huge comfort. And I just wanted to see what else was on this bottom of this deck when I had turned it over. Yeah, it's just pretty much the same. They're just repeating the same message, that you had to really work hard to get to this place of balance. There's a lot of love here in your family, and there was a lot of healing that had to take place. And you felt like you were, in a sense, left out in the cold in life for a brief time, as I mentioned. But that's something you got past very, very quickly. I feel like I'm going to start coughing now. Excuse me one second. I'm sorry. Just 1 second, please. Ooh, when you talk for a while. Okay, I think that is it. Anything else, Spirit? Somebody's getting a new car or just got a new car. I presume that's you. The viewer, the sun is either you're either shopping for a new car, you just got one, or you're about to get one. I think it's a red car. You're thinking about red, and you're thinking maybe not red. Now they're saying, yeah, go for the sport. You get the one you really want. I think you have a family car where you take the kids around, but you're looking at something more personally appealing. Anyway, that was just a total random thing. Anything else? Okay, apparently you like to take baths. They're showing me, they're encouraging you to do more of that. It's healing, it's soothing, it's kind of your place where you go to let go of stress, calm down. It is very cleansing. They're saying if you haven't already done it, put some Epsom salts in the bath. This is really TMI, so this is very specific, but apparently there's a rubber ducky in your tub. I swear I did not make that up, y'all. Like it. And I think it probably belongs to the younger kids, but it might have been yours when you were younger, and you still have it, and it still sits by the tub, and you still sit there sometimes and play. I mean, not like a kid would play with it, but takes you back. I think maybe it takes you back to when your parents were alive and you used to take baths and they would be there with you, and maybe that's a fond memory for you. Anything else? You're very welcome. Okay, they're pulling their energy back. I think that's it for today on this reading. Thank you all if you stayed to the end. I appreciate you so very much. This was a little bit longer one than usual, but I have no control of that. So and again, if you would hit that like button on the way out, I'd be so grateful. And make a comment. Let me know where you guys are watching from. I'm always curious about that. And stay tuned, because I might be reading for your loved ones next. I never know who's going to come through. Thank you all so much. I appreciate, again, your time. And I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.